Hello everyone and welcome to John Can Fix Anything. Today I'm going to show you how I built this awesome PC. This was a PC build that I did for my son Trevor. This is a lantern core build with use of several of the lantern colors. It has blue lantern, yellow lantern, red lantern, and green lantern all incorporated in it. It's a water build and I am going to show you exactly how I did it step by step. So if you want to know how I put this awesome machine together, then stay tuned. Let me give you a quick rundown of the components. This is a high-powered gaming system. So we're starting off with a Z370 Auros Gaming 5, and that's by Gygabyte. And this is an LGA 1151. This is also a very nice board if you're going to be setting up RGB lighting. So this is kind of the heart of the system, along with the I-core. We're going with the i7 8700K. That's an LGA 1151 as well. This has got the VR experience in it. 8th generation I-core. We're going with Corsair Vengeance RGB, and these are 8 gigabyte sticks, and we've got 4 of them. So that's going in. And then for the graphics, we're going with the GeForce GTX 1080, also by Gygabyte. That way these work together really well, and it's going to give him a really good experience. And he does a lot of video gaming, and they're into Twitch, and they've got a Facebook page and all that, so this will go along well with that. For power, we're looking at a Tough Power. This is a Grand Series by Thermaltake. This is a Gold Series RGB as well. And for hard drive space, we're going with a WD Blue. This is a 2 gigabyte WD Blue. And then we're also going with a Crucial MX500, which is an SSD 500 meg. And then I've got several RGB components going in. These are the 140s from Thermaltake. I think there's 5 of these. Then I also have 3 of the 120s going in. And then I've added a control unit for the Thermaltakes because I'm going to have a total, I think, of 11 fans in this system. So there's going to be a lot of fan work here. Also some custom cabling by Thermaltake. He's going to have a blue or a blue and green theme. I don't know yet, but it'll be up to him once I get it all put back together again. And this is also my first water cooling unit. So I purchased the M360 liquid cooling kit by Thermaltake, and this is also RGB as well. It's got an RGB block and got some additional fans in it. Comes with pretty much everything you need to go ahead and do the bending, and I've got all the other tools. And then sticking with the blue color, I've also gone with some coloration for the actual water. So that's a pretty good look at everything internally. It's going to be a really super nice system. And then I'm going to roll over and I will show you the case that this is all going into. But it's a pretty monstrous case. So I'll be right back. Let me show you the case that all of those parts are going into. This is a View 71TG. This is a Thermaltake. This case is a monster. It weighs 22 kilograms. And when it came, I practically couldn't carry it down into the basement. It was so large. This is by far the largest case that I've ever seen or looked at, and it's by far the largest one I've ever used. So I can't wait to get this opened up. This actually has all tempered panels all the way around the case except for the bottom and the back. So this has a smoke tinted casing. It also comes with some additional fans. They're RGB as well. But this is a really nice modular case that I'm literally going to strip out so that I can get all of the components and the water cooling into this to make this build. So anyway, I wanted to roll this in and show you because if you wouldn't have believed how big it was unless you saw it. So this is the case we're going to use. wires, and I'm going to be back shortly, and we're going to go ahead and set the motherboard up. Before we get started on the build, let me talk a few minutes about safety and what type of equipment you're going to need for a build like this. First and most important thing is a good pair of glasses, safety glasses, something that is shatterproof or that can protect your eyes. Very important you have a pair of safety glasses. You need a grounding strip. This is a type that you can just put on your wrist, and then you can take and just hook it right into the motherboard or to the case. But you definitely need a grounding strip on a build like this for sure. So if you don't have one, you can go to a Micro Center or order one online for Amazon, whatever the case may be, but make sure you get a grounding strip. You're going to need a couple different Phillips screwdrivers. You may need a flat tip, but I don't believe so. Magnetic is best. If you've got magnetic tips, they're the best. I also keep a little magnet as well, just in case you're going to drop lots of nuts and bolts and different things like that, and this makes it really nice to try to retrieve those out of the case. You're going to need a pair of cutters to do your tie downs with and different things, and I have a cutter for opening up all the boxes. So that's kind of what you're going to need. Two most important things being a good pair of safety glasses, and also this to go around your wrist or anywhere to keep that static off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set up the motherboard, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm going to do a quick unboxing of the Thermaltake 360 liquid cooling kit. I'm not going to go super in depth into this because there's just a bunch of YouTube videos out there that will walk you through this kit, but I have to get into this kit so that I can get the cooling block for the CPU, so I want to go ahead and do that. But anyway, this kit is really nice. I'll go ahead and just open it up. It's very well done. I mean, all the packaging and everything, it tells you exactly what's in the kit. You get the fittings, you get adapters, you get 90 degrees, you get tubing, you get a really nice 360R radiator, you get a 3-pack of the fans, RGB block. You also get a test block for your power supply, and then you get a really nice Pacific PR22D5, which is their top of the line pump and reservoir, and then you also get coolant. So when you open it up, and you get a very simple, it's just a one-page instruction on just the components. You get this tubing which goes inside of the actual tube you're going to bend. This tube you've got to take and you soap it down with soapy water. It goes inside these tubes, and when you put the heat to them, that keeps the structure of the tube intact. So this is really important. So you get a 4-pack of tubes. You get the inside tube. You get this is what I really had to come in and get first. You get the W4 RGB CPU water block, which I'm going to be using for the motherboard. You get the 3-pack of the 120s. And this is the really good coolant. I've read some reviews on it. It's very, very strong. This is your nice, very large radiator. And this is the D5. And then you get wrenches, you get all kinds of connectors, several connectors, and they're actually some very good connectors, they're not cheap ones. And then the block, so that you can, this lets you connect to the power supply without powering up your motherboard, and that way you can test the system out and make sure you don't have leaks. So anyway, that's everything in the kit. It seems like a pretty nice kit all the way around. I did buy some extra connectors and some extra tubing for all the errors I'm going to make, since I haven't done a lot of tube bending. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. So I'll go ahead and get set up for the motherboard. Alright, this is everything we're going to need to put the motherboard together. I want to go ahead and get this put together and get it out of the way. I don't know if I'm going to install it into the case right away or not. I generally do, that way I know exactly where it is, but there are so many fan cables in this build, I may just set it in there and look at it. But anyway, this is an Auros. This is a Z370 Auros Gaming 5. This is a really super nice gaming motherboard, specifically designed for gaming. It's RGB, it's VR as well. RGB meaning I'll be able to put a lot of coloration to a lot of different things. This particular board is designed so that it works with the Thermaltakes, and these Vengeance are also RGB, and also all of the fans. This particular board will control all of those things, which is really nice, so I'm really looking forward to that. So in the case we've got all kinds of goodies, antenna, all kinds of cabling for your different SSDs and hard drives. The plate, do not forget to put this plate on your case or else you're going to be screwed by the time you get done. Make sure you do not forget to put that plate on. And what else do I have here? Connectors. And this looks like some type of a plate as well. Then you've got a couple of different manuals, you've got stickers, you've got software, R stickers, and then even got some connectors. And I think these connector cables are actually for the RGB system, whichever RGB system you use. I believe one of these fits that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But anyway, nice instructions, multilingual. So that's everything in the box. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And what I like to do is I like to work off of the box. So I usually take the box and put it back together again, and this gives you a nice platform to work off the box. It also helps with the static as well. So I like to work back off the box when I'm doing it. And I'm going to go ahead and put on my anti-static and go ahead and connect that to the board. And I don't take any of the plastic, I don't take anything off until I am done. So go. So this all has it's a really nice looking board. It has plastic over all the covers and everything, but I'm not going to take any of that off. It's got 4 slots for the Vengeance. Super nice gaming, and the reason I like it so well again is because of the RGB. This is going to really go along well, really well with the build. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up the i7 core. I'm going to put that in, and then I'm going to put the plate on the back for the Thermaltake and flip it over. There's several things that you need to do for this to get it ready, so I'm going to go ahead and get these ready, and then the last thing we'll do is plug in the RAM. So I will get all this prepared and I will be right back. Okay, a couple things before we get started on putting the CPU in. We're using the, this is an i7 8700K. It's a really good Intel. This can get you almost all functionality for this board, which is a really good board. So these two really pair up really well. They've got a lot of features that pair up together. Once you put it into the board, they sync up really well. Don't forget your thermal compound. I personally like Cooler Master, but you can use whatever compound you want. The compound usually does not come with the i7 core processor, so make sure you remember this, or you're going to be making a trip back to your PC parts store. Okay, now when you look on the motherboard, on your socket, it's got a cover. Okay, and that cover is not to be removed until after the chip is snapped in. Okay, a lot of people make a mistake, and it says remove right here on the cover, but you don't want to remove it. If you read further, it actually says install processor first, then remove and keep, because you have to have this cover. If you ever have to turn this back in for warranty purposes, they will not accept this board without that cover. So you make sure you keep the cover, don't remove it until after you snap in your processor. Okay, so what you have to do is you just pull this out, pull that back, just like that. Okay, now on almost all these processors, there's really only one way that these can go. Okay, they've got a little notch in them, and I will do my best to show you that notch if I can get this thing open. And I got my static guard on. Okay, so if you look really close, you'll see these two. There's a notch here and there's a notch here. Okay, those are the two notches, all right, that have to fit down into the board. And if you look on your board, you've got notches as well. Okay, those notches, that's how you line this board up. Okay, you're going to have two notches. You basically take this, see how that fits right into that notch on both sides. The corners will fit in flush, everything will go in flush. It'll set flush just like that. Okay, then you just take this, nice and easy, drop it back down. See right here, there is a screw right there that this rolls in underneath. Okay, then you lock it in, and that when you do that, this will come loose, and you go ahead and keep this for later. Put this in your box for your motherboard, because you're going to need it if you ever need to go and turn this back in. It locks back in place, and there's your CPU into your motherboard. No issue there, it's locked in perfect. And then this is the surface we're going to use the thermal compound for when we put on this Thermaltake. I'm going to put in this water block. Okay, so this is a Thermaltake RGB, which means it lights up. Okay, and I'm really excited about using that. I've never used one before. This entire board lights up. It's RGB as well, and then also the RAM lights up as well. Okay, let's take a look at the Thermaltake. This is a Pacific W4 RGB. This is a CPU water block, the one we're going to use on the motherboard that we've got, and the CPU. This is a universal block. It's you can be used for ADM, Intel. I think it's even Razer compatible, I believe. Don't quote me on that. So okay, so open it up. It's very well packaged. Got all your warranty information, parts list. Says prevent damage to PC component. Please run pre-installation test outside the PC to check for any leak or failure prior to installing. That's because we're getting ready to put this under water, so it wants you to check everything prior to that. Okay, so we have, this is the controller that controls the coloration for this. I think it has 7 color and plus a RGB block of color. So this is the controller for that, and this cable right here actually will plug in. These are proprietary, by the way, by Thermaltake. It plugs into this controller right here, and you can also plug in a couple more. I think you can plug up to 5 into this controller, and this is proprietary, so you have to use this controller with this, and also with the other Thermaltake Riing series fans and anything to do with that type of coloration. So I mean, this is really heavy. It's beefy. It's chrome plated. I think it's nickel underneath and chrome plated. It's got a warning strip on it. Make sure you don't forget to peel that warning strip off before you install that, or you'll have a problem. It's got a pretty nice pack here of all the different hardware that we're going to need. Intel and ADM being what I'm interested in. So it's got spring screw ends which go on the top. It's got standard, it's got posts for the motherboard, it's got washers, all kinds of different types for all the different installs. Some long screws here, probably going for this. And it even gave you some Thermaltake compound and some bracketing, and then the back bracket. So it's a pretty nice kit. Looks like it's got everything in it, and I'm going to go ahead and get the motherboard set back up, and we're going to put it in there. Be right back. Okay, I flipped the motherboard over so you can have a good look at the back. Now, because this is an all-purpose kit, okay, and it does have pretty good instructions on it, you're going to have to find which one you have. Now, ours is a 1151. That's the one we have. Now, you've got ADM here, you've got all different types of Intels, all different types of setups. And the reason you need to find out which one yours is because this universal bracket has several different hole sockets in it, okay? And you have to find the hole socket that you need. Our hole socket is number 4, which is for the 1150 and the 1151. So if you're looking at it, I want to show you exactly how it looks. Like that, our hole socket is the middle one on this little side part. So you got 1, 2 over here, you got 3 here. We're in the middle on each one of these. Okay, so you need to make sure you take a look at that, and it also gives you the packs that you're going to need for your hardware. So we're going to need D, which is the long screw, and F is going to be the ones that hold it into the top of the board. Okay, so you're going to need this, D, and F. Okay, so make sure you pay attention to the instructions there, and I'm going to get these all prepared and we'll put this in here. Okay, so what I did is I just took one of the screws and I poked out the right hole in each one of them because it has a little piece of rubber in it. Now, if you look at my motherboard, it's got 3 screws on it. This has 3 screw match-up hole on it. So I'm just going to put that right over that like that. It's going to help me line up my holes. Okay, and that needs to be over the top of that, and it needs to be right over the top of that for. And then these screws go right in like this, just like that. And you can put them all in, but I don't know if that'll do us any good, really. They're not going to fall out, which is good because of the rubber on the base. But we're going to have to flip this over to get this to work. So a lot of people, what they do is they will tape this across, take some electrical tape, and they will tape that, and then they'll flip the board over. Okay, that all looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to grab some electrician's tape, and I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and tape this over because I don't want to have a problem with it. Okay, so see, I took a couple of pieces of electrician's tape and I covered that. I just put it on there lightly. You don't want to, you don't have to be really rough on it. Okay, I'll go ahead and flip it over. And I went ahead and I set up my thermal compound, and you can set that up in the way you want, put as much as you want. I just put a couple of little thin strips on mine. Okay, and when you're getting ready to put the Thermaltake water block on, do not forget to take that warning label off. Okay, otherwise you're going to have a problem. Okay, decide which orientation your motherboard's going to be in your case. Kind of think ahead a little bit. I know this is the back of mine. I know this is going to be the top. So I want to orient this so that my Thermaltake logos are the way that I want them. So I want them just like this. Okay, so think about that. So when you flip this over, then you got to go ahead and put on your F. This is F series holders onto the screws. Okay, so I just hold this on. These are very, very long screws, and it takes a long time to get these down. Make sure they're nice and tight. And if you've got to go on the other side and check that board on the other side, like this one is not quite tight enough for me, you can hold the top of that screw and tighten it on down a little bit further, but make sure these are tight, because this is your water cooling, you know, for your CPU. If you don't get these tight, you're going to have trouble. Especially this one in the corner. This is 1 1/4 bothers me a little bit. Okay, so I got these nice and tight. I just want to check this one a little bit more. Okay, so I've got these down all nice and tight. Okay, then when I looked on this instruction, I also saw that for the E series, which are these, this is the E series that has the spring on them. You also need the G series, which is a very small clear washer. Okay, and that goes in underneath, so it goes on after you put the TT in. Okay, so I've got these all in. I want to check this one more time because I just don't like this one in the corner. Okay. All right, so I've got my TT lined up. I know which way I want my logo to be. I'm just going to go ahead and slide that in, just like that. And it actually does fit pretty snugly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the G clear washer on. Okay, this is number E with a spring on it. And that's a brown spot on the top of that, and I'm going to have to touch that up because I don't want that on my build. So Thermaltake, if you're watching, that didn't look too good. Okay, so now the water block's in place. I'm going to go ahead and set up for the RAM, and we're going to go ahead and snap the RAM in. So we'll be right back. Okay, now we're ready for the RAM. And I'm using the Corsair Vengeance. These are RGBs, multiple color, 8 gigabytes, so I'm going to have 32 total. Okay, and we've got 4 slots. One of these will bend over. That one right here, this side, pulls out. Make sure you pull those slots out. Go ahead and open these up. I have never used the RGB RAM. This will be my first look at them. 4 pieces. Okay, 32 mega RAM. These are Vengeance RGBs. They'll light up. These top covers also come off if you don't want that on, but I think they look pretty good. And they've actually got a Corsair logo in the center of them that looks pretty cool when it gets lit up as well. So right now, the motherboard is complete. We've got the RAM set up. We've got the water block set up. The bracketing is all done. So this is actually ready to go into the case. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and then we will start by bringing out that monstrous View 76 case, and we'll get it unpacked, and then we'll go ahead and strip it out and get it ready to go. Okay, this is the Thermaltake View 71 TG, which is there's two 71 models. One's the TG, and there's another model above this that has a full array of installed Riing fans. Okay, this one comes pre-installed with two fans, two blues, one on the back and one in the front. Okay, this was just too large a case for me to unbox it in front, so I just didn't do that. But I will show you a couple things about the case before I tear it down. This case is, of course, tinted, and it's tempered glass. This thing weighs 22 kilograms. I don't know how many pounds that is, but this thing is a beast. Okay, so you've got tempered on the front, on the sides, on the top. Okay, and you've got these holding screws on the side, and you just unscrew them. They're in there's rubber grommets behind them, and then you can open up the case. Now, when I opened up this case originally, these hinges should just come right off, and they would not come out at all. I had to actually go get a pair of not a pair, I had to go get a flat tip screwdriver, quite a large flat tip screwdriver, to work these off the first time. Now, after I worked them off, they are still very, very hard to get off. There's no way they should be this hard. So Thermaltake, if you're looking at this, these should come off a whole lot easier than they did. So I'm going to have to pry these up, and I see some metal shavings there where I've twisted these. So obviously these didn't fit real well. They fit really good in here in these rubber bushings, but this should slide off very easily. And then this one pin is a little bit longer than this one, so it's easy to reset. But not real good quality control on Thermaltake for that. I really love the case. I've done a lot of research on it, but these should be really easy to take off. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the camera, and I'll show you the rest of the case. Okay, so if you look inside the case, there's your installed TT, that's a blue. There's one down in there as well. Really nice, roomy case. I mean, I like the case itself. I'm just agitated that you know, those hinges didn't work properly. So this is where your motherboard sits right here. This is for side mounting your GPU, your graphics card. This is removable. Literally everything in this case is removable, which I really like. It's very, very modular. These are hard drive cases or SSD cases. In my application, I'm going to take these out. These are just modular. They just unscrew from the back. You can take them out. There's two separate units. Your hardware is right here. There's your hardware case right there, and we'll open that up and check it out and see what's in the hardware case. And if you were going to use this, then, you know, here could be your 3.5s, or you could put, you know, you could put 1, 2, 3, 4 3.5s, or you could put 8 2.5 SSDs. So I mean, just a lot of room, and there's more room on the back. So these, I'm going to pull these out because this is where I'm going to put my radiator and my pump and everything else. So that's going to come out. Okay, if you look on top, there's more very nice glass, and then underneath it is a screen for dust. And then the front of the case, you've got your reset. This is interesting. These little covers, kind of nice. Okay, that looks like for your mic, and there's for your headset. USB 2, USB 2, 3 and 3, hard drive light, and there's your on and off. Okay, and then the front, again, you've got more very, very nice glass. This whole front cover comes off. This top, I believe this comes off. The top snaps off, and the front snaps off. And then this is the back. And again, this is another very large case, and it's got the side screws on it, and it should open up as a hinge as well. Which it does. And I hope this one comes off a lot easier than the other one. And then if you look on the back of this monster, you got your cables, of course, that are tied up in it. And then these compartments, this is for more drives. Okay, these are compartments here. 1, 2, 3 more compartments, and a multitude of area where you can run your wiring. A lot of grommet places, a lot of places. So you could put another 2, 4, 6 of your SSDs here, or 1, 2, 3 more of your 3.5s. So this thing has got an absolute monstrous area that you can work in. So I plan on putting my hard drive and my SSD in the back here and get them out of the way, because I'm going to use the front for the water. So anyway, that's what the case looks like. On the back of the case, it's a really nice setup here as well, and just ample area for expansion, nice area for your power supply. Very well done. Here, this is for water cooling if you want to go external for an external radiator on the water cooling. So yeah, it looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead and get it prepared and stripped down, and I'll be back. The back swinging glass just came right off. There was no issue at all. So that front glass, there was definitely an issue there, and it did not want to come off like it should. It maybe have had some burrs or metal in it. I'm still seeing metal shavings there. So I think that wasn't a real good quality deal there. But let's go ahead and open this, see what we got in here as far as hardware goes. Okay, so we got connectors, we got tie downs, multitude of different types of rubber bushings. Those are for your power supply, and speaker, a lot of bolts, and all the screws look almost like they're the same size, so that's pretty good. So that's what comes in your hardware kit. I'm not going to be using any of these holders, because I'm going to be taking all this out. So I'm going to go ahead and take the covers off. They should snap right out. I'll go ahead and take off the tempered glass, and I'll snap them out and get the case stripped down. Okay, I've got the case all stripped out. I went ahead and took out the fans. I've got RGB ring fans that I'm going to put back in. I took all the covers off, took all the back plates off. I got rid of all the hard drive cases. This has got a lot of space in it. There's also a little place right down in here. I'll take this off and show you. If you look right in here, this is a drain pan, okay, that you can take off from underneath, and that creates a drain pan area for your radiator. So I'm going to take that loose, and that's where I'm going to create my radiator. But anyway, you can see that this is really got a lot of space in it. Also, I like this top part. This is a removable top rack for other radiators or more fans, and I'm actually going to put some fans in here. But you can remove these take this off, install the radiator, install the fans, and then put them back on. Okay, so I think that's a really neat feature. I wish they would have done that on the front as well, because I'm actually going to put my radiator right there in the front, and I would have liked to have seen that on the front as well. But anyway, you can see that this really strips away nice, and it really gives a lot of room, and there's just multiple areas for doing installs. Same thing on the back. I'm going to take these covers off. This will be where my hard drive is, and this will be where my SSD is, and so it's going to really look nice. All the cabling looks good. It was all put together. There is a lot of room back here, at least a couple inches of room back there for cabling, because we're going to have, I think I'm going to have 11 fans in this setup, so there's going to be a lot of fans here. So there's a lot of room back here to put all your cabling, get it all tied up nice and out of the way. So that looks really good. So now I'm going to go ahead and stop for a little bit and think about which way I want to go first. I think I want to go ahead and I'm going to at least put the motherboard in just to see how it all fits, but then I want to get the radiators all in place and start working on it. So I'll be back. All right, this is a pretty good place to stop. The video is getting pretty lengthy, so I'm going to go ahead and stop here for part 1. If you liked what you saw, please give us a thumbs up, or better yet, subscribe to the channel. We'd sure appreciate that. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So we will see you on the next video, and have a great day.